Hello, so in this video I'm going to talk about why people always make the mistake of thinking that their driving anxiety comes from a car crash. Now I've mentioned this in other videos, but it's something that keeps coming up over and over again. So people come to me and they say, I've got a fear of driving, I've got this driving phobia, driving anxiety, whatever you want to call it. And they always say, well, I've had this crash years ago, and I know that the crash is what's causing it because I never had it before then, and ever since I had that crash I've had driving anxiety. And they still often say after that, well, I don't get it because I've watched your videos and you always say about how having a car crash isn't the cause of it, because I always say that driving isn't the problem, it's nothing to do with driving. And I understand this can be confusing because it does sound like the car crash must have been the cause of the problem. But let me explain how this works. So let's imagine that you had a car crash years ago, and soon after that you started having driving anxiety. This is how that can happen without the crash being the cause of the anxiety. You see, what might have happened is you went to hospital after this crash, and let's just say that you'd twisted your ankle and you had to have a scan. You had the scan, it was all fine, and you carried on with your life. 10 years later, you get driving anxiety, and the only thing you can think of is this crash. And sometimes, even when you go back with a therapist and find the cause of the problem, it could be the crash. And this is where people get confused. So let's just say that that crash was the cause of your anxiety. Why can't you get rid of it? Well, do you remember in that story I said that you went to have a scan on your twisted ankle? What you may have forgotten is that when you had that scan, a doctor may have said to you something like, we're going to do a scan, and if it's broken, you might need an operation or something like that. You were scared of the thought of having an operation for just a few minutes while they did this scan and got you the result, and then that fear went. But the thing is, although you forgot that fear, your subconscious mind didn't. And to you, you might have even forgotten about the fact you even went and had a scan, but your subconscious mind remembers it. So you see, your mind is thinking, every time I drive a car, I'm going to have an operation. Now yes, that sounds bizarre, but you need to understand why. That's your subconscious mind speaking. Your subconscious mind is crazy, right? We all have a crazy subconscious mind. You know when you have dreams and you have some kind of dream that you're standing on top of a train and then a UFO comes down and carries you away, and then you're swimming through a sea of chocolate being chased by a dinosaur firing a machine gun at you. That's the kind of crazy dreams we have. That's your subconscious mind talking. You see, your subconscious mind can't use words and language in the way your conscious mind can. So your subconscious mind talks to you through metaphors, images, colours and thoughts. So although you might think, well, it's stupid, why would me having a fear of an operation years ago have anything to do with driving anxiety? Because your subconscious mind misunderstands things. It's a bit silly. Your subconscious mind is a little bit like a child. It never really grows up and it just misunderstands things. So that's why the car crash had nothing to do with it. Now yes, the car crash caused you to go to hospital, which caused you to have a scan, but that's just one example of how people can get it wrong. And even when we go to this memory of the scan, that itself won't be the final piece of the puzzle. This is another thing people get wrong. They think it's as simple as finding one memory. It may be that that scan reminded you of a time earlier in your life when you went into hospital for a different scan which didn't scare you, but at that time your parents were getting divorced, and that could be the problem. Or if that isn't the problem, it could be that your parents getting divorced reminded you of something else. You see how deep this goes? It's nowhere near as simple as people think. So you think it was caused by a car crash, which goes back to a scan, which goes back to a divorce, which goes back to something else, and you can end up miles away from the actual crash that you're thinking about. And this is why people who just read scripts are useless. When you get these therapists who sit there and read you a script, you are feeling calm as you drive and you have no anxiety. How is that ever going to get you to this memory of scams, divorces and all the other things that are linked to the problem? Well, it won't, will it? Scripts do nothing, and people who go poking and prodding around, were you ever scared when you drove as a child? All that stuff is nonsense. As I've said before, a fear of driving has nothing to do with driving. There's more chance of a fear of driving having something to do with a shopping trolley, a river, a slide, or a helicopter than there is a crash. Check out these other videos on the screen now for more help with your driving anxiety, and if you want to book a free one-to-one call with me, just click the link in the description. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you again soon for more videos.